Chapter 3. Friends. After a couple of days, Tayayu was slowly beginning to be able to use her legs like normal again. By a week's time they felt as good as new. Old hag is a good fucking medic, that's for fucking sure. She sat there in what was temporarily their apartment. Tayayu shivered at the thought. She leaned her head back on the couch. Why couldn't I get my own apartment? Or be placed with a kunoichi? Why did it have to be the same place as the fucker that saved me? Tayayu let out a sigh as she sat there waiting for Naruto to return from the hardware store, one of the few places he said didn't overcharge him. He had a couple of things to fix, the door for one as well as the window in the bedroom and the pipes for the water line. Tayayu was growing impatient quickly. Where the fuck is that piece of crap? Naruto was unlocking the door as she screamed that and he sighed, "You're so loud, Tayayu." Naruto had given up his quest to get her to use his name. She used it now and then, but only when it was a question that was more personal. She had realized quickly that if he was uncomfortable about the question, she needed to use his real name to get an answer. Tayayu looked at him as he carried in a bag and was followed by clones carrying wood and glass. They put it down and Naruto took things out of the bag before grabbing a screwdriver and taking the hinges out of the old door. Tayayu watched as he did it, obviously having done it before. "So shithead, do you have to do repairs like this often?" Naruto looked at her then back at the door. "Yeah. Living in the poor district and being hated makes it so you learn these kinds of things." Naruto finished putting the hinges on the new door then screwed it back into the door frame. He made sure that it had a good swing on it then moved into Tayuyu's bedroom, the only bedroom in the apartment unfortunately. Someone had thrown a kunai with an explosive tag through it this morning. Tayayu barely reacted quickly enough to throw it back out the window before it exploded, otherwise who knows what would have happened. Naruto took out the old window, measuring it then went to work on making a new one. About 30 minutes later he came out of the room. "Window is fixed for you, Tayayu." Tayayu nodded. "Hey shithead, how come none of your friends have come by?" Naruto looked at her. "My friends? Oh well. Only a couple know where I actually live and that would be my ex-teammates and Shikamaru. Shikamaru probably wants to avoid you, lest we have another fight like in the forest, while my ex-team would be more concerned about Sasuke." Tayayu looked at him. "So what, you only have 3 friends?" Naruto scratched the back of his head. "No, I have more. Just I don't really see them unless it's ninja related." Tayayu shook her head as she looked at the blonde teen. "Stupid ass fucker. They aren't good fucking friends then, are they?" Naruto looked at her with a confused look. "What would a good friend be then?" Tayayu looked at him blankly. "Well, with what he has told me it's not a surprise he wouldn't know." Tayayu sighed as she rubbed her temples. "A good friend checks on you just to check on you. They spend time with you because they enjoy it, not because they have to. They genuinely enjoy that time they spend with you, typically." Naruto looked at her, his face growing more depressed than it usually looked after her explanation. Tayayu narrowed her eyes at him. "What's with the look, shithead?" Naruto just shook his head. "Nothing. What do you want for lunch?" Tayayu glared at him. She knew that there was something. "Tell me what it is, fucker." Naruto sighed. "Why did she have to live here? She is pushy, loud and doesn't use my name." Naruto ignored her, not really wanting to say what he had realized. Tayuyu's eyes narrowed at him some more. "Tell me, Naruto." Naruto just looked at her as he made them some lunch. "Why does it matter?" Tayayu continued to glare at him. "Because you're even more irritating when you're more depressed than normal." Naruto. Naruto rubbed his temples. He knew what would happen if he didn't answer her. She would pester him more and more, her comments getting more vulgar each time until he eventually replied. He knew it was easier to just get it out of the way now, because, according to your explanation, I don't have any friends really, except for maybe Shikamaru. Naruto finished making her a sandwich and brought it over to her before getting to work and putting in better pipes for winter. Tayayu watched from the kitchen table as he worked, looking at him in wonder. "Why do you stay in this village?" Naruto shrugged as he continued to work. "It's not much, but it's home. I got important people here." Tayayu narrowed her eyes some more. "You so-called friends?" Naruto got out from under the sink as he looked over at her. "No. I have Ba-chan, Iruka-sensei, Shizune and Jiraiya-sensei. They are my family figures. I know they aren't really my family, but it's the best I have." Most of time they seem typically happy when they see me, so I don't want to leave them. I also like to watch them be happy. It makes me wonder if I will ever be as happy as Iruka-sensei is with Shizune. Or how happy Jiraiya is every time he sees Ba-chan. It isn't a dream that won't be happening though. Tayayu looked at her from where she was sitting. Why won't it happen, shithead? Naruto looked over at her. Everyone our age is obsessed with Sasuke. Every time I would ask Sakura out of a date, she instantly shot me down to beg Sasuke for one. I even tried asking other girls like Ino and Tenten, but they both declined as well. Besides that, even if someone did actually agree, I would have to find somewhere to take them that wouldn't bankrupt me, as well as the fact that their parents would have to approve. That is just to get a girlfriend. Imagine being engaged like Iruka-sensei and Shizune are. The parents would have a heart attack from their daughter marrying the demon. Naruto thought about it. They actually are getting married next week. I should give Ba-chan money to buy a gift from them from me. Tayayu took a bit of her sandwich. Such a stupid shithead, aren't you? Naruto just went back under the since. According to you, everyone is a stupid shithead, Tayayu. Tayayu smirked proudly at that. It was true in her mind. Everyone was a stupid shithead, it seemed. Though, at times Naruto had his moments where he was more tolerable than others. Especially when they were at the apartment, when they would walk around and he would talk to his friends. He always seemed so fake to her. She had started to wonder if any of his friends knew the real Naruto and not the fraud that he put on for them. Her thoughts were interrupted by a knock at the door. Naruto hadn't heard it. Hey shithead. Someone is at the door. Naruto groaned as he came out from under the sink looking at her. You realize that you can walk now, right? Tayayu rose her left eyebrow at him. You realize that since I can walk I can kick your ass, right? Naruto sighed, then pushed himself off of the ground, muttering to himself, irritating pain in the ass girl. Too damn lazy to answer the damn door. Naruto opened the door and saw Iruka standing there. He instantly started to smile at the man. Hey Iruka-sensei. Iruka smiled at him. Hey Naruto, may I come in and talk to you for a minute? Naruto nodded as he moved out of the way. Iruka came in and said hello to Tayayu, who was still enjoying her sandwich. Hello again. Tayayu swallowed the piece of her sandwich, then nodded. Hey shithead. Iruka rubbed his forehead. You shouldn't call your elders shithead. Tayayu, it isn't polite. Naruto just shook his head while Tayayu smirked. Alright then, fucker. Iruka groaned, then sat down at the table while Naruto went back to working on the pipes. Iruka looked over at Naruto. How have you two been getting along? Tayayu rose her eyebrow and looked over at Naruto, waiting to hear his answer. Naruto thought about it. A bad answer would more than likely get him hit. Of course, a good answer ran the same risk with Tayayu. Fine I guess, as long as she is right and gets to swear. She usually is pretty calm. Tayayu looked back at her sandwich with a smirk before taking a bite. Stupid blonde shithead is learning, it seems. Iruka nodded as he looked over at Naruto, who came out from under the sink now that he was finished. Naruto came over by them as he had some ramen heating up. So what bring you here, Iruka-sensei? Did you miss me? Don't say you missed her. She will get angry. All that was heard was the sound of Naruto's head bouncing off of the table. Iruka shook his head. Naruto, when are you going to learn about girls? Naruto's rubbed the front and back of his head. He wasn't sure which part hurt him more, where Tayayu had hit him or where his head bounced. Naruto just sighed as he looked over at Iruka. I am learning slowly, if not I would probably be dead thanks to Tayayu, right? Tayayu looked at him. The option is still on the table, fucker. Naruto rolled his eyes, then looked back over at Iruka. So what was it that brought you by Iruka-sensei? Iruka smiled. Well, you know that Shizune and I are getting married soon. Naruto nodded his head. Next week, right? Iruka nodded his head. Well Naruto, since you have always meant a lot to both of us, I wanted to see if you would stand up at the altar with me. Naruto's eyes widened as Tayayu watched with amusement at the shock the blonde teen had been put into. Naruto thought about it. He honestly wasn't sure he was even going to go. He didn't want to disrupt two of his most important people's wedding by upsetting people. Naruto looked over at Iruka. I am honored, Iruka-sensei, but I don't know if others would like that. Iruka looked at Naruto. He was one of the few people that Naruto didn't put his mask up around. Iruka gave him a kind smile. Naruto, Shizune and I both want you up there. If others don't like it then they can leave the wedding. Why don't you ask Sakura and make a date out of it? Girls are suckers for weddings. Naruto scratched the back of his head. Sakura and him weren't on the best of terms at the current moment. Naruto looked at his father figure. She isn't speaking to me right now. She is still angry about the condition Sasuke came back in. Iruka looked over at Tayayu. Maybe Tayayu would like to go with you then. Naruto and Tayayu both blushed then looked at Iruka. Tayayu wouldn't want to go with me. I'll go and stand at the altar. I will just go alone. Tayayu was about to start yelling that no one would want to go with the blonde shithead then looked at him after his response. Iruka looked at the saddened Naruto. His solitude and loneliness was slowly becoming worse as time progressed it seemed. For a while he was getting better with having Team 7 though that all came crashing down. Tayayu seemed to be slowing down the process for Naruto, though it was still happening regardless. Tayayu watched as he went and got his ramen then came back to the table to start eating. She remembered what he said earlier about his issues with ever finding someone. The expression on his face showed that was weighing heavy on his mind right now. It would probably be worse at the wedding. She groaned. Fine, I'll go. But it's not a date. Naruto looked at her in surprise. Really? You actually want to go with me? Tayayu looked at him. For the first time she saw a hint of true happiness in his eyes. She gave him a small smile. Something that was rare from her. Yeah. If I don't you'll just mope around here for days anyways shithead. Remember, it is not a date. Naruto nodded his head at her as Iruka smiled and stood up. Well, I am off to go and tell Shizune that you accepted and to have a plate set at the head table for you both. See you both in a week. Naruto nodded as he looked at the door closing leaving the two alone in their apartment again. Naruto looked at his ramen then over at Tayayu. Hey. If you don't want to. You don't have to go Tayayu. Tayayu rose her eyebrow at him again. What are you saying that the great Naruto Uzumaki is too good to go to a wedding with me? Jackass. Naruto waved his arms. No. That's not what I am saying. You're twisting me words. Tayayu smirked. Yeah, it's annoying when the other one does that, isn't it? Naruto looked at her with a confused face making her sigh. Remember? A couple days ago you twisted my words around to make it sound like I was hitting on you and wanted to be like that with you. Naruto looked at her then remembered. Oh yeah. You wanted to date me but I said maybe if you stop swearing so much. I think your swearing has gone down a little as well. Guess that means you really do like me, huh? Tayayu looked at him, her face turning red from a mix of anger and embarrassment. You fucking bastard. I'll fucking kill you if your ass doesn't stop twisting my fucking words around. Naruto smirked as he looked at her. Honestly, sometimes you are just too easy to get to Tayayu-chan. Her eyes went wide when he added the chan honorific then gave a typical Tayayu reaction. She hit him in the back of the head again, this time his head going straight into his ramen. Don't call me that asshole. Naruto looked at her. Sorry. Didn't know you would hate it so much. He looked down. You ruined my ramen. Tayayu smiled. Serves you right shithead. Naruto growled. Oh yeah Tayayu-chan, well maybe I will tell people we are going on a date for the wedding. Let's see you deal with explaining that to everyone. Tayayu narrowed her eyes. You wouldn't if you want to live. Naruto narrowed his eyes. I am stupid enough too, you tell me that constantly. The two stared at one another and then slowly looked away, both hiding a small blush. Tayayu looked at him out of the corner of her eye. It's like he wants to go on a date with me. What if he does? What if he has developed feelings for me? I guess he couldn't resist this awesome fucking body. Naruto looked over at the door. She really seems repulsed by the idea of going on a date with me. Maybe I should leave early on that day, that way she doesn't have to go. She doesn't seem like she really wants to go anyways. To be continued.